too much fun. Too much fun in this thing. Too much fun every time. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Molten Live Chat. I'm Robin. You're very welcome to be here among us. I hope you can hear me okay. Just checking things about the place. I seem to be on camera, which is always a good sign. I've got green lights over there. I hope you can hear me all right. Let me know if you can't, obviously, in the chat. That would be super. So the purpose of this evening is just to get together and chat about some gear, chat about modular synthesizers, music technology, software, any bits and pieces that really came up recently. We're happy to talk about, happy to answer questions, ask me anything you like, and I'll give it a go if I happen to spot it in the chat, which I don't always, I'm afraid, or I might just ignore you, or, as often happens, you talk amongst yourselves. And I'll just sit back and drink some beer or something. So there's no real preset plan. There's nothing particular I have to get off my chest this evening. You'll be pleased to hear. So we can just talk and chat and see where it takes us for an hour, maybe two, and we'll see. So I'll kick off just by saying a few hellos to people. Hello. Hi to DJ Mechanicom. Good to see you. Yeah, I will record some of my music one of these days. Is that going to work if I do that? Yes, it is. Pete, hi. Ken, good to see you. Andrew, yes, that was a ghost ship, I think, in the background. I'll open that in a minute. I'm just trying to remember where I put my opener. Anyway, good to see you, Nicholas. Hi. Oh. TH. And Wandering. Good to see you. Tonal, great. Yes. Robert. Hi, Andrew. Wow, you're really in off the mark. That's awesome. Thank you ever so much for that. That's lovely. Robert, hi. Good to see you. Hi, Alosa. Alsosa. I won't ever get it right. That's okay. Ian, hi. You're in Gibraltar. God bless you. And you still tuned in. Well, that's lovely of you. I hope you're fighting the good fight over there. As we like to say in the in Great Britain. Anyway. It's good to have you here. So what do you want to talk about? Should I open my beer? That might be a good start. I had one somewhere. I had a thing that opens beer. There we go. There we go. Thank goodness for that. So this evening I have some Adnams Ghost Ship, which I've taken quite a liking to, I have to say. It does have a citrusy feel. And in case I don't get quite leery enough, I've got some neck oil for later. Maybe. I'm just going to hold this up here so you can see what I'm doing. So you don't think I'm just being weird. So I had a splattering of videos this week because of embargoes and various bits and pieces. I also ran into a bit of trouble with that as well. Hopefully nobody noticed as I leaked poor old Divkid's module all over the place. Dear, oh dear. Oh, you live and learn, don't you? I'd be worried that if I had an opener here, I would just crack something open and bubble the beer into my circuitry, which I don't think is good. I don't think is good. So yeah, I had a couple of videos. I had the NiftyKEYZ, the NiftyKEYZ from a week ago, which is great. I've got that over there. I can always drag that out at some point. I have thought about putting the Deckard's Dream and something else quite nice in just to see how that would go. I think that might be quite interesting with enough effects and bits and pieces. So I might give that a go. And of course I have the Function Junction, which you just can't quite see on camera. I don't think see a corner of it. That's quite fun. That I think is going to stay in my case. I think it's really useful. So that's good. That's good. So that's going to knock around. So we had a bit of that. And then we had the stereo strip from Divkid, which was good, awesome. And Well, I mean, I'll relate to you a little bit my feelings about our Premiere chain, which seemed like a really good idea. I know, I'll be on straight after Divkid. Fantastic. And, so, yes. So he did this fabulous video, of course, and premiered that, all about his new module, which went into terrible detail and all sorts of places. It was really quick as well. This thing, do this thing, then do this thing. Then onto this thing, onto this patch, onto this patch. Look, here's some things, onto this patch. And yeah, interesting. Everyone's going, wow, that's quite interesting. And then, well, I'd say everybody then came over to my channel. About a quarter of the people then came over to my channel for my premiere of my video on it, which was long and ponderous. Long bits of music in it where it was the same thing over and over again with me just tweaking tiny things. So it's always interesting how different people approach doing videos on YouTube. You know, I seem to be slightly unafraid of long bits of stuff when perhaps I should be more afraid of that, and I should keep that down a bit, maybe. It was just, I mean, I found when playing with the stereo strip that I was so enjoying the sense of the thing going around that there was sort of something about it. You got into a bit of a groove with it, and I didn't want that to be lost in just by going, you know, here's 10 seconds of this and then move on to the next thing. I kind of felt I needed to run. And was that as effective or not? I'm not entirely sure, you know. I don't know, but it seemed to go all right. I think Divkid was relatively pleased, even though I'd ruined his launch not 2 hours earlier. But by the by, hey, live and learn. But yeah, so doing a premiere thing was quite fun because you do get to chat with everybody else and then you apologise for all the bad bits or try to explain when there's big sections of music where nothing is happening and everyone should go off and make a cup of tea. So yeah, interesting. Will I do that again? I don't know. I tend, I kind of stumble my way through a bit. Perhaps it would be good if I was a little bit more organised with these sorts of things. But I do tend to get a video done, get a video edited, and then I just want it to get out there. I just want it gone. I don't want it hanging around or scheduling things. I just want it to go so that I can then start thinking about the next thing. Perhaps if I one day find the time to do this a bit more full time, then I can be a bit more measured about it. Do things a bit more deliberately like that, and have a video released Thursdays or that kind of thing. That might be nice, But Slapdash seems to work for me at the moment, so I will continue down that vein, and I hope that's okay. But I'm always open to feedback on these sorts of things. Deckard's Dream asks Ken, is it finished? No, it's not. Now I have just so yeah, it's just purely a matter of time. That's all it is. It's not enthusiasm. It's not a will to do it. In fact, I worry slightly that I'm going to either lose bits or can't remember where I am or not be able to finish it because of how long it's taken to get this far, So I do worry about it quite a bit. But I have other things to do. For instance, I've got to build the second envelope for the Erica Synths thing. And then this week we've got the sequencer we're building live. I have just got through kind of because I went away over Easter, I needed to do a lot of catching up at the end of April. And I feel like I'm through that now. I've still got 2 things that I'm reviewing for Sound on Sound that are just sitting there staring at me that I need to get on with. But otherwise, things have calmed down a little bit. So I'm hoping, although bank holidays, and then flipping Super Booth, I'm hoping to carve some time in there just for some serious soldering. I want to get those IC holders onto the voice boards. That would be brilliant. I've also got 2 Neural Labs kits to build, which I want to do too because they're both great, and I'd really like to get those done. And I've got countless other ideas, just stuff of fabulous videos to make. That's always coming along that I need to squeeze in there as well. So my prediction at the moment is that this week, because of the bank holiday, I'm probably going to have my head down doing a Sound on Sound review, and then I've got the live streams Wednesday night, Thursday night for the Erica Synths sequencer, so that'll be next week. The following week is then is then Super Booth, so that's all just going to go crazy. Then maybe when I come back from that, maybe I will just decide, because it is purely a matter of exercising sheer will to decide to do something on the Decal stream. That's all it takes. I have to be able to go, nothing else matters, I'm going to sit down for a couple of hours and do some of that. And that's something that I really need to do. That would be great. So yeah, I'll try, but I haven't got any further since last time I posted something about it. But I do intend to. I do mean to. Really, I do. Soundmate, hi from Italy. That's nice. That's nice. There's a spectrum of video length. Divkid, Vincent, or you can call me Robin if you like, and then Shoebridge. Well, I guess we're going for surnames. Yeah, Tim does some great long videos. I don't mind his long videos at all. I think long videos are a good thing, necessary. Sometimes videos are a bit too sharp, unless you are Andrew Wang, who can somehow nail down complex ideas in the space of 5 minutes. Then it's better to spend a little bit of time and explain them. I think that's always been my view. Andrew, hi, I love what you do. Oh, God bless you. Slapdash is welcome. Don't make it all too sick. Yeah, all slick, as you say. Okay. I don't think there's any chance of that. I mean, I have toyed with the idea a while ago about using scripts and using teleprompters, that kind of thing. You can get them essentially on your phone now that somehow sit above your camera with a little thing, and that all works, and that's brilliant. And some people do that really, really well. I think that can be terribly effective. It doesn't seem to work for me. I mean, when I compare the videos I do now with the videos I did a couple of years ago, when I did script them, more or less, I had a handwritten script that I would refer to and then try to do it to camera. I feel like I sound terrible in comparison. Whereas if I'm into what it is, then I find it relatively easy to talk about it. I mean, there are dangers of forgetting things, leaving something out, or repeating myself. Those are the biggest problems, I suppose. I mean, particularly, actually, funny enough, with the Divkid video, I trod on the power cable of the camera after half an hour. And it all went away. It just all went away. Their file corrupted, and that it was gone. I had to do it again. I had to start again. I had to sort of suck up all the enthusiasm and all the thoughts I had and the stuff that spewed out of me at the time, and I had to do it again. And that's hard. And if I'd had a script, then perhaps that wouldn't have been quite so difficult. But it seems to work. On the whole, it works for me to do it in that way. So that's what I'm going to go for. Particularly with the Molten Monthlies, actually. Because I mean, they were the thing that I used to script the most. And I don't know. I really feel that each of those little products that I talk about, I feel like I get under the skin of and bounce about a little bit and feed off its energy. And I don't think I can script that. It has to have that kind of live edge. Is that £79? Mr. Broken Scart? I don't know that it is, but thank you very much. That's very kind. That's awesome. Neil, you bought the components for the VCA, now have to decipher the schematic. No, I mean, you don't really have to decipher the schematic. I mean, the instructions are there, more or less. You can just solder it together. But the manuals for those EDUs are excellent. Follow them through. And if you need any help, I've got hours of live streaming of that stuff. So will I dig out the Raspberry Pi? Ask Exorb to try doing the Pi Dex thing. No, I don't know that I would. Now I have another idea. See, this is a brilliant idea. You'll love this, right? And I can't understand why nobody's done it. Although people I don't know if people have done it or not. But talking about pies and that, I don't know that I'm that fascinated by FM sounds actually to kind of put that sort of work in. But I've been thinking about MIDI controllers recently and virtual instruments. And I was playing with a synthesizer emulation. just a simple one, just like a Moog Styly. All right, let's call it something like that. Just a basic synthesizer, a software one. I'm thinking this sounds great. Now, wouldn't it be possible, because I can't ever see myself building a vintage synthesizer other than the Divkid Stream, of course, which is a piece of cake in comparison. But I wouldn't see myself ever building a synthesizer like that. But wouldn't it be possible to build a MIDI controller which emulates that? So I mean, how difficult would that be? Because at this point, I have to assume that you could run a VST instrument on something like a Pi or an Arduino. There has to be a way to make that happen in some fashion, I would have thought. And there's some great sounding ones out there. This is like what Elk Audio did with their... they did it with that Steinberg synth, didn't they? At Superbooth, the last time Superbooth was real. Anyway, what am I trying to say? I don't know. It just occurs to me that to make a MIDI controller, surely that's just a bunch of encoders. So all I really need is an encoder, which is then going into some kind of teensy thing, which is the MIDI control center. So these knobs go in, interprets it as MIDI, pipes that into a virtual instrument, and you've got a synthesizer, haven't you? So wouldn't it be possible just to get a bunch of encoders with long trailing wires? So not even going into PCBs, just long trailing wires that you jam into this thing, and why wouldn't they just work? Why wouldn't that just work? And then I can get a sheet of metal, sheet of plastic, sheet of wood or something, and put the knobs where I want them to be, and I could essentially build a synthesizer, on a virtual synth. Because I mean, this came about thinking about the Juno, I think, that like the Roland synths, or even with the Korg ones, they're just Raspberry Pis or little computers running emulations essentially inside. So why can't I do that? Why can't I do that with virtual instruments? Why can't I get a whole bunch and just start building my own synths based on these virtual instruments that would be, wouldn't necessarily need a display, not if it's a simple thing, not if it's like a 2600 or the DCO 106 from Cre8 Audio, something like that. Why couldn't I do that? Why wouldn't that be? What's in the way of doing that? What am I missing that's going to make that super complicated? Because when I look at this lovely little MIDI controller from MIDI-La, there's not a whole lot going on in there. Not a whole lot. It's mostly encoders. There is a PCB in there, just about, but it's really just holding. It's just holding the encoders, and then there's a couple of chips. So what's to stop me getting a bucket full of encoders to create, and have something that I wire that into, which is configurable as a MIDI controller, so I could choose CC numbers and that kind of thing. And then you just need, to start with, you could just run that into your computer to run whatever's there. This is a bit like those Soundforce MIDI controllers, is kind of what I'm talking about. But just in a simpler, why can't I do it myself kind of way? Then I could have an egg box, knobs stuck on it. You'd be away, wouldn't you? Anyway, so that was my thought. I don't know where this came from, but that's just something that I've been thinking about. Because it's like I don't have enough on my plate at the moment, so I thought I'd dream up some other way of coming up with something. Who was that? Matt, wow, that's amazing. Oh, well, you're so kind, mate. What a lovely thing to do. I have to say, your latest Kickstarter was phenomenal. I mean, what is it, a pamphlet on monsters, and you raised like $2 million bazillion dollars? That's just brilliant. I think you do an extraordinary thing over there. In fact, I was just telling my wife about you at tea time, talking about that, saying that because we have a lot of crossover in our history and pasts and loves of various media and films and bits and pieces. And it's just interesting, those similarities, how we in the past we've kind of crossed paths on various things. And I find that fascinating. And also how that because you've been far more focused than I have. I've been all over the place, but you have this ability to focus in on these things, that you've made a fantastic career out of it. And I think that's brilliant. I think that's just superb. And if I had the time, I would love to do to follow your DM journey and to become and give that a bit of a go. I mean, my kids play Dungeons and Dragons sometimes with a friend of theirs who's very much into DMing, and that's brilliant. I've just never found the space in my life. I mean, I played a game. Was it this morning? This morning, yeah, with my two boys, called Veiled Fate, which was a Kickstarter I supported a couple of years ago, which was great. Just really nice, because, you know, other than modular, you can't beat tabletop games. You can't. It's just a wonderful thing to do, thought process and stuff. Anyway, you are. It's so great to have you around. That just thrills me. Absolutely thrills me. So anyway, what were we doing? What were we doing? Modern MIDI controllers and Apple. Yeah, I mean, of course, modern. Back to MIDI controllers. Yes, all of that. I have plenty of MIDI controllers with which I can do that, the MIDI are included. What I'm trying to get to is I want to get a bunch of encoders so I can lay it out like a synthesizer. Not just a bank of 8 knobs. I don't want a bank of 8 knobs. I want to be able to grab the thing from over there, the front panel that I've made myself out of cereal boxes, and set it down in front and go, right, I'm going to play with a Moog, and then put that aside. Right, I'm going to play with a Juno 106, and another one. Right, I'm going to play with a ARP 2600, you know, and so on and so forth, and have different ones for that. Why can't I do that? I must be able to do that. I always have more ambition than what I'm capable of actually fulfilling. Does that make sense? I always have ideas which are out of my reach, because I think, oh, that'd be great, but I'd need to learn, you know, how to program in Python, and I'd need to learn to do that and that, and you know, and who has time for all those sorts of things? But it just seems so tantalizingly close, and it's almost to the point that it's obvious, because I'm very much inspired by Tim Sewbridge that somebody mentioned earlier, and his ability just to think his way to a solution and then make it happen, you know, and he's making it happen in a little bit of development, software programming, using MIDI, clever thinking about MIDI and how that works, and he was able to produce this Polychain DIY app for Voltage Modular. And I think that's just, you know, just brilliant. And why hadn't anybody thought of doing that before? And sometimes a simple idea just don't get considered. And it is a simple idea. Why can't we polychain all sorts of things together? Of course we can. It just requires a bit of MIDI thinking, which is what he's done. So when we think, why can't I provide a custom MIDI interface for every single virtual instrument that I have? Well, I think you should be able to. And it shouldn't have to be one of those modular MIDI interfaces, which, you know, MIDI controllers, which are massively expensive and on Kickstarter and those sorts of things. It shouldn't have to be that. It's interesting. I think it could be simpler. I really think it could. I mean, maybe what the answer is that I need to take a load of MIDI controllers apart. That's the answer. See what makes them tick inside, and steal all the components. So I need to go on eBay, buy a load of broken MIDI controllers. That's the answer. Then I can build my own. That's probably it, isn't it? If you can get stuff off the board, then you can stick wires on it and screw it into some other board. Rearranged. Painted. Well, you heard it here first. Anyway, what we're doing? Fiber optic module patch cables. Yeah. There was, Guy Smiley, there was a profit shaped one. If you go and look on soundforce.nl, I think it could be. I think I've got this right. They did a series of custom made MIDI controllers specific to a particular virtual instrument. You know, it's definitely that sort of thing, you know. Great stuff. Anyway, people have moved on. I'm talking about this. See you at Super Booth. Yes. No reason I don't think. Have a go. Yeah, I think I should. You're a fun guy. Thank you for the mushroom. Helios Drone 5. Interesting. Yeah, they do. People like monsters. Yeah. Yeah, they do. Sorry, I'm just going to catch up now for a minute or two. So this is all going to feel like a time warp. I'm sorry about that. Patch points. Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is that the MIDI-LAR guy, he's been working on a MIDI controller with patch cables. Yeah, that works at VCV Rack. And that's extraordinary. I forget how far he's got now, because he kind of like was almost there, and then other things got in the way and that kind of thing. So very possible. If I can play Twilight Imperium, I can run D&D. Yeah, possibly I can. I mean, I don't know if I've told you this story before, but I was a DM once. It's kind of, it's a sad sort of preteen story, I think, in that I thought I'd invited a mate round to play. We're going to play a bit of Intellivision, as you do, play Utopia, that kind of thing. Boing, for those of you in the know. And I was sitting around waiting for him to turn up, and he didn't turn up. So my mum phoned his mum, and apparently they were playing Dungeons and Dragons round his house, and I hadn't been invited or something. Anyway, so I got myself invited over there, and they asked me if I'd like to be the DM. And because I had a little bit of experience of it, because my mum had tried to teach us to play it, weirdly. Anyway, so I went over and pretended to be the DM, having absolutely no idea what I was doing. I would randomly roll dice, and I would try to tell him to do things or not, and just kind of made it up as I went. So I think I have that sense of imposter syndrome greatly when it comes to DMing. But I don't know, maybe. But I mean, man, playing the expansion of Twilight Imperium for an entire day was just fantastic. It was just brilliant. I mean, I think a lot of it, because there's me and two mates who play it, and we play as a 3. And it's really that. It's just spending time with a couple of mates where you're doing something which is fun and interesting and involving, engaging, and you're chatting and you're eating crisps and, messing about and putting the world to rights. And it just becomes an awesome thing. And the expansion for Twilight was not as bad as I thought. I kind of felt that it was going to detract from the game. And you ended up, because I watched a couple of reviews that were saying things like, if you love Twilight Imperium, then because you don't get to play it very often, it seems a shame to then play the expansion, which is a bit fussier and a bit more involved and different, when really you want to just be playing the game. So, but we found it worked really well. So I think we're going to try and do that again. Anyway, I'm digressing now. Look, Mum, no computer. Did he do a MIDI controller patch cables? I don't recall. With your chord capturing, that sounds like the sort of thing that exists. It really does. Has anyone seen the Stolper Beats Eurorack module yet? No, I haven't seen it any more than I've been talking about it. I imagine it's going to be at Super Booth, though, without... yeah, certainly going to be at Super Booth, so we should be able to have a look at that. B-17 Bomber! Yeah, I had the Intelli voice. I most certainly did. Yeah, B-17 Bomber was fantastic. I mean, you got to shoot airplanes, didn't you? Out of each side. Man, it's 12 o'clock, and off you'd go. I'm sure it was in a more of an American accent than what I'm giving it. But that was something else. Flak, watch out for flak. Oh dear. Oh, that's funny to me. Now, I have put money down on the next Intellivision. I have. I mean, it's been like 5 years they've been working on this bloody thing, calling it Amico and other such nonsense. But I believe in the dream that is Intellivision. I still can't believe my dad sold it at a car boot sale. That just drives me nuts. But I love that thing. It was just extraordinary. And So yeah, they do have a new one coming out with weird touch controllers, look like chunky phones and things like that. And the whole idea behind it is these are family-orientated games. So fun games, games you could play together, games I could play with my daughter. You know, something other than Fortnite or Minecraft. And it looks great. So I think I must have put $100 down or something like 3 years ago in the hope of them actually producing one. But that would be great. I mean, the game I really want to play is Tron Deadly Discs, because that was my game. That was the one I loved more than anything else. But I don't imagine it's going to come along because of licensing issues. But I have played it since on like a Pi Arcade type thing. But you really need the controller, and it's difficult to play it without that, I find. But it was a great thing. Yeah. No, you're right, Matt. Eventually somebody figured out what the dice were for. Well, I mean, because, you know, although, like I say, my mum kind of got us into it, we were also, coming from a Christian family, it was also seen as the devil. So we sort of flip-flop between these things, where I absolutely certainly wasn't allowed to buy the White Dwarf magazine. But for some reason, my mum was really into it. She would pick up, like, she'd come home with a whole bunch of cards for which making dungeons, you know, and we would always be getting these fantasy dice roll games, and then we'd all be told how evil we were at church the following week. So yeah, but she was a little bit of a radical in there somewhere. Yeah, I mean, you can play games for a living. Yeah, that's true. I don't know if anybody's interested in watching me play games particularly. I can't ever seem to finish one these days. Who has the time? I mean, I've got that at the moment. What is it? Not Time Bandits. That's a whole other 80s reference. But there's a time loop game where you play as this guy who's stuck in a loop in a Groundhog Day kind of way. It looks great. I've managed to give it an hour, and I've had it for like 6 months. Anyway, that's a whole other thing to talk about. We're supposed to be here talking about synths and gear and stuff. Anyway, B-17 bomber. That's funny. So yeah, did I miss anybody else's comments? Late to the party, Tempura Boto. Yeah, it is my first beer. Call of Cthulhu. So yeah, lots of ideas as ever, coming up with bits and pieces. Time Bandits. See, it's fascinating to talk about our past, because our pasts were awesome. I hope our kids can say things like that when they grow up. I don't know. I mean, is the flow of technology just going to continue being so fast that they don't ever get a moment to think about what it was that they had? So what were we, 40 minutes in? So what would anybody like to do or talk about? Trying to think if there's anything that I've got particularly pressing that I wanted to bring up along the way. I don't think so. I would like, I mean I can tell you about things I'm planning to do, if that's of any help. Oh, I know. I got a whole load of these, right? Along with the NiftyKEYZ and the Function Junction, Cre8audio sent me a whole load of patch cables. I mean, just a whole ton of them, which are great. They're the green, black, and purple I asked for, I think, because they were colours I didn't really have, and now I've got them everywhere. So these are the NASCAR noodles, and they're really nice. I mean, they're rubbery, which is a good and a bad thing, because sometimes, you know, they get a little bit tactile, you know, not slippy enough with each other, but they have this odd rubberiness to them, a bounce to them, which is very cool. And also, I wanted to show you the difference. I'll get a green one because they're a bit thing. The difference between them and the Talk Boy. What am I talking about? Tendrils. Yes, because I'm looking for small cables in order to be able to close this case, and so I went out and got a whole load of Tendril cables, and I got some other ones, control ones they're called. Do I have another one here? I can pull out that one. So these are, if you can see them, here we go, too out of focus. So this is the Tendril, Tendrils are great. They are very low profile, which is low enough to shut my case. But the actual cable itself is really a bit weedy. And I think I've already had one fail on me. I think. Because, you know, you're trying to get something done. You end up just putting the cable out and tossing it somewhere. And then replacing it with another one. And then it works. You don't really go back and double check and double test and that kind of thing. But anyway, so a bit thin. Although the thinness can be good because it just thins out the spaghetti at the front, I suppose. So, you know, it's a pro, it's a con, it's a pro, it's a con. But the control ones, I forget I don't know, just control patch cables, put that in. I got them from Funk. They are just slightly less tall, slightly less tall than these, so they fit brilliantly when the case shuts, and the cable itself is chunkier, and these are a bit more traditional feel to the cables. Do you know what I mean? Like all the Hoser cables are just standard plastic cables, so those have been quite good. Where did that come from? I think I went out of there into there, so I want to play with this patch again in a minute. And then the green one, so I got those two, and then got these NASCAR noodles from Cre8audio, and again they're slightly smaller than the tendrils. Obviously you can get right angle tendrils, which are a whole other thing. I'm talking about the straightforward tendrils, which is good, so I like that. I quite like the grippiness of this bit here because it's got the name on it, which actually forms a bit of a grip, which you don't have on the tendrils, funnily enough. And then it has this strange rubberized nature of these, which is sort of nice. I don't know, I'm still quite enjoying it. So they're good, these NASCAR noodles. I quite like them. I like the way they hang quite well, but also can, yeah, they're not going to keep bringing themselves back all the time. You know, they're quite amenable of staying where it is you last put them, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool, and a bit longer, a bit fatter than the tendrils. So yeah, I quite liking them, I have to say. There's a bit of a recommendation. They have them in all sorts of colours, all sorts of lengths, including up to 3 meters. Right. It seems nuts. What are you going to do with that? Yeah, so that is definitely that. I don't know if you saw my video on the function junction or the stereo strip, in which case you might have seen me using a strange floaty device, which is this. It's just a phone holder. I just had a bit of a brainwave, right, where you could use this to float modules. And what I in my head, what I'm thinking of is going to a gig with a dozen of these and having all of the modules out on their own arm, and then it becomes such a visual, awesomely visual thing. I think that would be completely fantastic. I will do it one of these days. But yeah, I got one to try this out, and this is now becoming my default way of reviewing modules. So I just put that like that, get a module, there's one. Have to be a little bit careful because you've got to get it to fit, and it only fits, so this is only wide enough to fit the PCB, actually, not the thing, but that's okay because that's really all you're after. Ooh. See, like that. I mean, how flipping brilliant is that? It's just brilliant. I love it. Oh, I'm just such a genius. And then, you know, I can talk to camera like I have. You know, I've already done it. Done that, talk to camera. It's just brilliant. And then I can put it back in the case to, you know, to do a proper close-up thing on it. And so what I've done with my Molten's hole over here is I bought a couple of long cables. I've got this one and another one. I've lost. There you go. A slightly thicker one, because some modules obviously require the big one, some require the small one. I don't think the big one's going to fit. I have a slight sneaky suspicion that I'm not going to get that through there. I mean, I might. I mean, if I fold that up enough, is that going to go in? Yeah, no, flipping heck, I'm getting that in there. I'm not going to do it right now, though. No, I might have to. Oh, it's jammed. Oh, damn it. Oh, okay, got it. I rescued it. So, yeah, that's another use for my Molten's hole. Have you noticed that Mr. Voltage Vibes, he's done a 3U module now for doing the back to front patching. If you're following me, if you know what I'm talking about, the back to front patching that uses a molten hole, he's now done a 3U one, which has got the patch sockets at the top and the hole at the bottom. Genius! That is the answer, because at the moment I'm just using a 1U kind of adapter thing here, which is a little bit strange. But anyway, finding more uses for it all the time. And this allows me to put one cable through, wind this round here, plug that in, job's a good one. I mean, if you saw the Stolper Beats video, you saw that they essentially had their module out of the case. And I think there are occasions where that's interesting. And again, this is the sort of thing that can do that. Just a cable coming out of the hole, stick that down, and you've got a module outside the case. You know, that could be interesting. Could be a way of focusing, or testing something out, or doing a video. You know, all sorts of things. Super ideas. I like all of that. Let me get rid of this because it's going to be right in the way. So yeah, see me in, I don't know, sometime over the summer. I'll have 12 of these doing a gig, probably in Gringos in Norwich, trying to work out how to do it in any kind of successful way. It's got to be possible. I mean, it would look great. And evidently someone will get there before me, because I just don't have the time to put into crazy ideas right now. But there you go. Come and see me when you see someone who's done it, and I'll have a moan about how I did it first. Molten Wobbler, Dr. Octopus Mod, yeah, I can see that. Wobble. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, indeed. Why bother with a modular case? I mean, all you're going to need is a power supply. Maybe don't have that floating around. I mean, I've got my nice little USB power supply. Maybe that's going to be enough. Just a little bit of USB, because that runs. Hang on, I've got it over here somewhere. What's that connected to? I hope this isn't plugged into anything. Oh dear, I've broken it. Come on. What is that? That's plugged into what exactly? Oh, it's plugged into that. Oh, right. Oh, cripes. Come out. Oh, all right. So, I got this power supply, right? So this is just USB in the side, and that powers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 modules. 8 modules. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I could get 2 of these, right? USB off just a power pack. 2 of these just sticking up like that, doing nothing. 2 of these, and then use 16 long cables. Flipping work, it would work. I mean, it would take a little bit of setup. Or would it? I mean, I've only got to plug it in. Oh, it's funny, isn't it? You know, I'm going to have to do it, aren't I? Gonna have to do it. Have to do it. I've got so many more things to do before that. No, or have I? I don't know. Maybe. That's a good idea. Because something that's burning a hole in me at the moment is the I've got a Behringer 2500 sitting over there, the whole lot. Let me show you. There's nothing terrible over there. I'm not allowed to show anybody. No, I don't think so. You see that? Can't really see that very well. But over there, in the dimness, is all of the Behringer modules, the 2500 ones. 2 oscillators I bought at the same time, and then just all the rest of stuff. I have not even plugged in the sequencer and the mix sequencer thing. I haven't plugged them in yet. I have not had the headspace to do it, because I know that they're a little bit different. It's going to require a little bit of thought, because they're not just normal. And I think it would be really interesting to see how that works and how that goes. So that is definitely a thing that I need to get my head around sooner rather than later. But as with most things, it's tricky. But of course, the most important thing I've got to think about is that I've got to play guitar in the village revels in the summer. I've got to learn a bunch of songs. So, you know, there's always pressing things. Always pressing things. Wearable modules? Yeah. I mean, I struggle with the whole... I mean, it's interesting when you talk about different ways of doing MIDI control or MIDI performance. You know, I've been very much into alternative methods. Anything other than a mouse, basically. And I've been, you know, I did a lot of work on touchscreens and getting that working properly. And I've always been interested in the rings thing and the gesture thing and the glove thing. But ultimately, you end up just feeling foolish. And I don't think the audience really connects with what it is you're doing and doesn't really understand the connection between the sound that they're hearing and what they're seeing go on. And I think that can be very, very difficult. I mean, it's difficult enough in modular, but at least they can see you're there going, dun, 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 you know, enjoying something. When you're there going like this, and it doesn't seem to have any relation to the sound, as I say, you just look foolish. If you're playing a violin, people understand and can connect visual with audio, even if it's sounding like a synthesizer. So, but this thing, having them up on arms, I think would look so fabulous. I'm going to have to order 12 tomorrow, aren't I? But then would I get the same one? Well, they'd have to be all the same. I mean, it would be a viral video, wouldn't it? This could be the one. This could be the one that pulls in the subscribers. But also, see, the thing is in my head is what I would like it to do. I would like it to start like this, and then have all of the arms behind it. So then I step back or I press a button, and they come out. I mean that, you know, in an Iron Man kind of style, that would be awesome. That's what you want. Just sort of like turning up at the gig, screwing them onto a trestle table. That's not quite the same, is it? You want this flourish. Or, I mean, maybe if we had them all standing up straight and then you bend them over, or they bent over themselves. I don't know. See, I mean, it looks amazing in here. I don't know whether it would look anywhere. So I'd need some sort of round table that has a power supply on. I mean, it would also be good if it turned around. I mean, I've already been thinking about if you had a modular system that you could rotate. Because, you know, you might have seen those ones that are set up like a cube, which I think is a brilliant idea. You just need to be able to rotate it. And can you do that while... and still keep it powered without twisting all the cables up? I don't know. Exorb, thank you ever so much, mate. That's lovely. Bless you. Thinking now, you see. You can tell, can't you? You can see the cogs whirring. What beer am I drinking? I'm drinking Ghost Ship from Adnams at the moment. Yeah, it does grow. 4MS pod case and a tentacle arm. Yeah. I don't think, I mean, yeah. I don't think that's quite the same as individual modules and individual arms. I mean, having something stupid like something small like the Divkid Oct on an arm all by itself, that, you know, that, but it's wonderfully lit. So why not, I suppose? Why not? I'd need 16, wouldn't I? I mean, for a single voice, 1, 2, see, okay, 1, 2, and one of those on 3. But then you've got to patch it up. So not only do you have to turn up with your modules on arms, could you leave it patched? Now that's interesting. And the likelihood is you're just going to stick your fingers on the power behind and blow yourself up, aren't you? Yeah, I mean, you can a Lazy Susan device, yes, you can. But the power supply inside somehow going up, isn't that going to twist itself, to pieces? That's the problem. You need a power supply that can rotate. So it's somehow got, I don't know, copper brushes inside itself. Do you see what I mean? It has to be able to rotate. Yeah, I mean, at one time I did try to be clever about beer, but again, just another thing I don't have room in my brain for. But simply, for me, I just tend to enjoy simple IPAs or fruity IPAs, and the Ghost Ship is very much like that. I mean, it's a pale ale, obviously, I suppose. And I really like those. I used to drink nothing but bitter. I used to drink bitter all the time. Occasionally it would be Directors or something, something creamy like that. John Smith's, but bitter. Yeah, just be a pint of bitter, please, mate. Would be my standard beer. And I can't seem to drink that quite so much anymore. So this is good. But as for Belgium Beers, Belgo's, I think it is, in London. I used to went there a few times, where you have mussels, Molten Monthly, mussels and chips, I think it is, and you can have some fantastic Belgian beers down there. But I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, I'd like what's that one? I was going to say Haagen-Dazs. That's not it. I can't remember. There was one that I quite like that you can get bottled. I used to have quite a bit. Hoegaarden? Doesn't sound right. Anyway. No, you see, I understand what you're saying about the pod. But with a pod, it's just getting really expensive and it's less dangerous. You don't want that. You want the risk. You want the craziness of the ribbon cables behind the scenes and the light pouring out the back of the module. I mean, let me do the data bender thing again, and I will demonstrate. Right? Does anybody actually know whether it harms a module to plug it in while the thing's on? I mean, I've always assumed that it will, so I've turned it off. But does it? I mean, the other thing I got this week, and I can't believe I haven't got it ages ago, was a switch for this. Because previously I've just been jamming so much going on now, let's see. Been jamming the power end just into my, into this end, into the Y connector, which powers both the cases. I'm powering both cases off one power supply. I then found these switches. Am I going to lose my patch? Because it was a really nice patch. No, it's only the notes. What notes was I on? Those two and that one. Okay. I think everything else stays the same. Anyway, so turn that off. Blah, blah, blah. So turn this out of here. I don't know if this is a good example or not. Where's the red? Red. Where's my thing? So we are workshopping, right, a gig at this point. If you're with me. So there's my data bender. Try not to do something nasty to the power supply. So it's a little bit off center. I don't want to see. It does depend a little bit because this one, where the power is a little bit. Oh, sod it. We'll just go with it. It's a little bit funny. So let's turn it on. See, and I've got this light that comes out the side as well as the front and stuff like that, you know. So I could take, what was coming in here? This fella. Oh, just about long enough. Put it in the left. Ugh, now Qubit ones, I don't know what it is they do with their sockets, but they're bloody hard to get things in and out. Oh, I've got a nice fat. It's funny how big these seem now, these Hosertech ones. So the left is there. I need to hold it. Okay. Put that back into there. every time I turn on my system, the quantizer down here, the mosaic quantizer I've got here, which does this great arpeggiation, it seems to, whenever I turn it on, it turns on it with the maximum slew. So I get this. So let's see if why am I not getting anything through it? Left, mix. Awesome. Really sorted that out, didn't I? What's going on? I can't remember how this bloody thing works. I'm on, well, do I need a clock? Maybe I need a clock. Let me give it a clock. That's flashing, that's got to be a clock. Stick that in there. That's mix. Is that left? No, that's mix. That's mix. That's clock. What have I got wrong? What have I got wrong? That's in there. That's down. Definitely had something a minute ago, didn't I? That's coming from here. Is that actually running? Think, boy, think! I've got nothing coming through here. That's my problem. What's not running? That's running. This is running. That out is running. That's going to there. Oh, I know. I know. I know. I need something out of here. Plugged into the in on the filter. Brilliant. Qubit data bender. Just what you want. Doing this? I don't remember, but you know, so gig, yeah, gigs are, coming in, you just leave it bouncing and you go off to another one over here, another one down here, back to this one, yeah, you know, and you're going to have these cables stretching from one to another. It's going to be brilliant. Again, in my head, I'm imagining it almost creates a sphere of modules, because there's so many of them stuck out on arms that are patched with this incredible, it's like to be a massive wall rack. This is brilliant, I have to do it. Bring one closer to the camera. You want the data bender? But see, when you do that, that's also the beautiful thing about that, is that the depth of field you get is really interesting when you have the modular behind. I really like that. I've enjoyed that tremendously. Bring the beat, let's dance, okay? Yeah, maybe not Qubit ones, eh? Just need a long cable. Wait for it, wait for it. It's going to be good in a minute, I promise. I've got stuff coming back from the magneto now that I've got no idea about. I can't work that thing out. I have no clue what it's doing. Right now, just bringing back in stuff I did like half a minute ago. I could do that all day long. I could, but so there we go. That's the concept. But obviously, as I say, I've only got the one. Evidently, I'm going to need to buy a whole lot more of those. What do you think? Yeah, I don't know about the magneto. It's top of my list of my forthcoming series that I've never gotten around to, called struggling with modules. So struggling with magneto is number 1 on there. Other things that I struggle with, well, data bender, beads, struggle with that. I struggle with envelopes often still. So I've got a bit of a whole list of those. So yeah, I was talking about the potential videos, wasn't I? So I talked about the Behringer 2500. I'm also working on a video on patch cables, because I have now every patch cable that there's ever been. I seem to have, because I even picked up, for the purpose of this, I picked up some stackables. Where are they? Now, flipping heck, these are chunky, but I figure if I'm doing a definitive video on patch cables, then you'd need to have some stackables like this from Tip Top. They are very chunky, but yeah, I can see that they're useful. They are very useful to some degree. So yeah, I'm going to do a very fascinating and probably frivolous video on patch cables. I think that's going to be good. Looking forward to doing that. What else am I currently working on? Oh, there's something else which is really great. What was that? What was that? I have been thinking a long time about doing a video on filters, because basically there's you can spend your life doing reviews of stuff, and reviews are all right. I'd like to do reviews. People like to hear about new products. People like to see people's opinion on new products. That's great, but I don't think that should be the whole deal, and I get slightly frustrated when that's all I have time to do, because I'd like to do videos which help people. Does that make sense? So the whole stuff I did on my modular journey, the whole thing I did with, well, different things in showing how envelopes work or oscillators work, going into that sort of detail, I found personally really good to do, and always seems to get a great response, because there's a lot of people out there who are learning and want to know more, want to understand more. Similarly with videos I do on audio interfaces or on MIDI controllers or on software bits and pieces, I want to be able to demonstrate how things happen, how to do things, how to understand stuff, more than just, oh yeah, this is a good module, yeah, it makes this noise. Do you know what I mean? So I would like to do more of that, but again, I kind of have to put that a little bit to one side until I can find time and space, sadly. Because I still, in my head, I still operate like I'm a full-time YouTuber, which I am not. And not by a long chalk, sadly, but that's what I think I am in my head, and that's why I have all these grand plans, and they get scuppered by the fact that I have to work for a living. So, but I'm always working on that. I mean, I'm in the process actually at the moment of redoing my website, which I like very much. It doesn't do anything other than gives out some nice information and images, some nice photos. And that needs to be put to work. It needs to be working harder. So my plan is, in a bit of a nutshell, is to redevelop the website. I ask my kids whether they ever browse the internet, and they go, "What? What's browsing the internet?" Oh, yeah, it's that term people use in books when they're talking about the old internet. Yeah, they don't really do that anymore. But anyway, I still believe there's plenty of people out there who like to read rather than just watch videos. So my plan is to pull the words out of all the videos that I make, reviews in particular, I think, and the Molten Monthlies, and put them up in text so that people can read them rather than having to watch the video. I think that would be helpful. It's also helpful because then I can stick adverts on it. Now, I know we love that, don't we? But it could make a couple more quid, right? And move me closer to that idea of doing the YouTube in full time, which is still a long way off at the minute. So my thought process is trying to maximize what I can get out of the work that I'm doing, rather than having to do a load more work to earn more money, which I don't have time to do. I'm sort of flat out, but I need to make better use of the stuff that I do to maximize its earning potential, I suppose, ultimately. Because if people want to read it, that would be great. And if then they want to buy the product, then I could stick in an affiliate link so they could do so that I get 2 quid of the sale. All of these things could add up to helping get me more independent. Is that all right? I hope no one has trouble with that, because adverts are a kind of a reality. Affiliate links are a useful way of doing stuff. And I know people get funny about that because they start seeing it as being bought or or some such. But it's really not. I don't have the time or the headspace to be a sellout. I really don't, because that requires like negotiating with companies and trying to get gear and money and things. I'm not capable of those sorts of things. I just want to make videos about cool gear and hopefully make cool videos about cool gear. And the idea, the concept is that, you know, I make cool videos, you like cool videos, that should be a worthwhile relationship that generates or looks after itself enough so that all parties can do the thing that they want to do, you know, without it having to be underhand or sneaky or sell out or paid promotion or an advert. Do you know what I mean? I should just be able to do the thing, and the thing should be enough by itself. That's my weird belief, but we'll see. Does the chat get a cut of the ad revenue? No, I don't believe so. It's all mine, mate. It's all for me. It's all for me. I might have to get this out of the way because I fear I'm going to do something bad to it. But you get the picture, yeah? I think it's a goer. Just got to give it some more time. God, like a bloody broken record. God damn it, Qubit. Got to do something about these sockets. Maybe it's a feature. I don't know. Is it a feature? Flipping feature. Can't get flipping things in, flipping out. Right, what am I doing? Getting rid of this. So yeah, I'm forever looking at ways of trying to trying to keep on doing what I'm doing. I mean, somebody said they appreciated my FM2 video. Great, thank you. I appreciate that. That's super. I do like to do them, even though, as I say, I would like to also be doing more instructional and more open stuff to help people along the way. Yes, but also reviews. Yes. But the Volca one was interesting actually, because I wasn't planning on doing a video. Korg had sent one to me very nicely, and I had a bit of a play with it. I thought, that's nice, and then sort of put it to one side. And then when it came to sort of release day, I wrote it up for Gear News, and then I was thinking, do I have time to do like a sound demo or something? Maybe I could do something. But the time came and went, and then I watched a couple of other people's videos on it. I mean, particularly Luke Pop's was interesting, and then I watched Jeremy's Red Means Recording. That's the guy, isn't it? I saw his video on it as well. Very interesting. Completely different videos, because Luke Pop took you through the whole thing like he does brilliantly. Took you through the whole thing, which was interesting. And then Jeremy sat it down and said, this is a disaster. You know, he really hated it, because it tries to be a DX7 and it fails all the time, and it doesn't have all the things it needs in order to do that, and he just thinks it's a ridiculous product. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting, and he had some very good points. And so rather than like we as YouTubers tend to, which is all release our videos at the same time, it gave me an opportunity just to think about it for a bit longer before making a video. And then I thought, I think it's worth making a video because there's some interesting points in both camps, and I think I would like, and I agree with some of each, and I think I'd like to give a slightly different spin on it. Because I mean people often criticize YouTube reviews for being a little bit too upbeat, a little bit too positive, and I think that's a fair criticism. But also, it's kind of inevitable, because you want to feel positive about the stuff that you use. You know, nobody really wants to waste a load of time thinking about and working out how to use something they don't like very much. So that's a factor. I mean, of course, we should all be completely unbiased and just take whatever comes next, look at it, define its objective truth, and then communicate that to you. But that's not any kind of reality. There is no objective truth in a piece of gear. There's just whether you like it or not. And one person could go, oh, these cables feel funny, and another person could go, oh, these feel awesome. And it can be exactly the same cable. So you have to, I don't know what you have to do, but there's no, everything will be biased to one degree or another, because you're dealing with human beings who have opinions and thoughts and feelings and reactions to things. So what was I saying? Oh, I don't know, got off track again. But so yeah, the Volca thing. So yeah, in review, I think what happens is you're often looking for what's good about this product. You're not trying to gloss over the bad stuff, because I mean, most products are just genuinely quite good. You know, you'd give most things a 7 out of 10 because that's just how products are. People don't tend to release crap. It's easy to misunderstand stuff. It's easy for it not to be for you, but that doesn't mean that the product is crap if you're doing your job as a reviewer. I think your job as a reviewer is not to show you the faults, it's to show you what this thing can do well. Ultimately, what fun can you have with this device? You know, and also point out things that didn't perhaps work for you, because people might encounter those, but you don't go into it looking for crapness. Does that make sense? Anyway, so back to the Volca thing. So I was able to think about it a little bit, and it enabled me to give a more nuanced, I think, review of it, purely because I listened to somebody else's review and was able to feed off that. Because what really interested me about the Loop Pop review is that most of it was not actually done on the Volca at all. It was all done in DexEd editor in the plugin, and I was scratching my head going, why is he spending all of his time in that editor? Why is he not doing it on the Volca itself? So that I found a little bit strange. And then from Jeremy's point of view, assuming kind of that it's a DX7, or it's marketed to us as being a DX7, that didn't seem quite right either, because he was right. It was not able to fulfill that role because of the difficulty of moving sounds, the lack of editing, or the ridiculousness of that editor, of the front panel, in how little you actually have. And then there's no thing like that. Mod wheel doesn't work, sustain doesn't work. So there were definitely things missing. But I quite enjoyed my journey through it, because I kind of felt that I found a way of why it's great, but also why it's not perhaps what some people think it is, and how you can have a good time with it as a thing by itself. And then I was on Sonic State talking about it, and the guy, the other guy just said, "Oh, it's rubbish," because FM sounds are crap, and we're bored of those, and they sound cheesy, always have been cheesy. There we go. I thought that was interesting too. Did everyone see me on Sonic State? Because what occurs to me. I mean, I'll go on any show. I don't mind. I'll go on anything. And I'm quite happy to talk. Always happy to talk. But I have to remind myself that I'm not always in the same position as other people. I mean, Sonic State, perhaps in particular. Well, no, I mean, there's not that many to choose from. But on Sonic State, you often get these awesome people who run proper studios making proper music. Now, that's awesome, and they have some interesting things to say and a great perspective, but it's very unlikely that it's to be anything like your own perspective. So when they're talking about, so for instance, who was talking about, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry, Yode? I can't remember. Anyway, but when we were talking about modular, he's not into modular because you can't save it, which is fine, and for me, that's not the point. However, if I was writing music for a living, then saving stuff is absolutely what you want. So his perspective of running a studio and writing music for people, producing music for people, having software which you can save, awesome, fantastic. Having hardware synths that you can save on, fantastic. That's what you want, because you want to be able to recall an entire project. I don't have any reason to do that, and so my perspective, where I'm coming from, is very, very different. And I think that's interesting, because I think Sonic State to some degree has had a lot of the pros on, and so it gets to be that they are think in a similar way, and are thinking very much about a music production workflow. And I think perhaps what what this idiot can bring to that conversation is just like a slightly different view. I mean, I'm doing this for fun, for hobby. I mean, I'd love it to be making music for a living, but that doesn't seem very likely. I've done a little bit. And when I did that, I did it all in software. I didn't do it on here. I did it on software because I can save it. And I can show it, and then I can go back and change it. Can't do that with this, you see. So I know where they're coming from, but I hope that I was able just to bring a slightly different angle, which I think is cool. I think it's cool anyway. I hope other people do. And I hope that'd be helpful. I mean, I know Nick at Sonic State said to me that he just wanted to broaden their horizons a little bit, invite a few more different people in just to get a different flavour. And I think that's really cool. And I am chuffed to bits. I am absolutely, I think it's fantastic to have been invited on. And yes, I do hope to go back. Not sure when. Not this side of Super Booth, that's for sure. No, as your head, it doesn't make my perspective any less valuable. I agree. No, it doesn't. In fact, it's probably more relevant in some ways. I don't want to by any means criticise or minimise anything that any of the awesome pros on Sonic State have ever said, ever. That is not my point. My point is that there's a lot of people who are coming at it from a different place. And I can be that voice talking about it from a different place, which I think is an important voice to add in. It's not a more important voice or a less important voice. It's just a good voice to have in the mix, I think. Yoad. Yeah, that's right, Ken. Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we'll try to be quite positive about stuff, I think, on the whole. Anyway, let me just rewind up a bit, just in case I've missed anything. Yeah, Sonic Talk, he's been going for like 700 episodes. That's a lot. That's a lot of episodes. He's just fantastic. He's a machine, that guy. Superb. I do need to do a review of the Unison Professional Chord Sequence Pack. The MIDI pack, maybe. Renaissance Man asked me what my thoughts are on the $1,200 Teenage Engineering mixer. Seems like a steep price. Yeah, it does. I mean, I did talk about the... hang on. So, Renaissance Man, you are pumping in the questions at the minute. Okay, so I got to the top. Okay, so all right, I tried to do them in order. I'll come down a little bit just to where are we now? 9:30. All right. So I've been running on long enough. Do I plan to design or develop new Eurorack modules in the future? Yes, I do. I mean, beyond the Molten Hole, you mean? Which isn't mine. I just inspired it and had it named after me. Yes. I can tell you. I do have a module on the way, which is very, very exciting. I'm sure that a certain person is going to be going, what did he just say? He can't say that yet. We haven't got it ready. I know, but I hope to. I don't know. We need to have a conversation, but there's potential of having something on demo for Super Booth. It's not going to be ready. I mean, it's ready. It's just not ready, if you know what I mean. We're still prototyping, and finishing off a few bits and pieces. But it's good, simple. I like it. It was a good, simple idea, a helpful, simple, good idea. And I have ideas for at least half a dozen more. But it takes time, you know. It takes a long time from the initial idea to the talking about it, to sketching it out, to then actually running it through all those processes that it needs to get to become a physical thing. It's just a long time. And also because it's not as if you're investing a huge lot of money in a manufacturer. It's kind of done on a friendly, this might work kind of thing, and so they're putting in time when they can, and they've put a huge amount of work into it, which has just been amazing. Stunned by it. But they've also got their own thing to do, you know. So I think it could be a good one. There's a danger of it getting far too complicated at one point, that it just went a little bit crazy. That we had to sort of undo some and just keep it to make it do what it was supposed to do. So yes, do have things, and more, I hope, in the future. Definitely. Yeah, I've got honestly, I have a handful of really good ideas, I think. Just how, you know, you've got to start with something achievable, because first time it's like, this module, it's 40 HP wide, and it's kind of a mixer, which is also CV controllable, which sends out CV, so it can also can be a sequencer as well as being a mixer and an effects processor and it's a modulator, obviously, because you can record all the modulation and play that back. I go, no, we're not going to build that. All right, so a molt then. Start with a molt, see how you get on, which isn't too far from the truth, funny enough. So obviously when I'm able to talk about it, I'll talk about it. And there's a big question. I mean, do you do a big reveal when it's available in the shops, or do you do a bit of a Behringer and reveal it now and it may never appear? It's a good question, difficult question. Don't know the answer to that one. I don't think there is an answer to that one. I mean, Divkid kept his pretty close to the chest, and then boom, released it. Boom, it's in the shops. Is that cool? I think it is. I think there's an element of wow, that's really great, let's buy one, and being able to buy one, I think there's something very cool in that. Otherwise it's kind of like, oh, okay, that's interesting, well, we're looking forward to when that comes out, when actually you want that, whoa, bam, buy it now kind of vibe, and we'll all be millionaires this time next year, Rodney. Anyway, so yes, Renaissance Man also sad about the mutable instruments. Yeah, it's I'm pretty sure I broke that story. I'm crediting myself with breaking that story, and then everybody else has ran off with it like they thought of it. But anyway, by the by, I did. It was a patron of mine who pointed it out in one of my awesomely successful patron Thursday night chats on Discord, of which I've had like half a dozen now, I think, which is great. You know, just patron only, invited along to Discord channel. We chat about stuff on a Thursday night, and I've had like three people in, I think. So, you know, if you want a bit more of closer direct access, and Patreon is definitely the way to go, because there's a lot of lovely people in there who just let me get on and aren't very needy, and that's nice. But you're also allowed to be needy, and I do try to be available, make myself available to you as much as I can. So anyway, so somebody mentioned it there, and I went skimming over to the forum and dragged myself through the forums trying to work out what had gone on. And yeah, Emily had said a year ago, I think, that the beads was going to be the last one, but the way it was put wasn't completely certain, and so it made it sound like it's just the last one that I've designed as opposed to the last one I will ever design. But she had hinted at it then, you know. And then in March, she just discontinued half a dozen modules. Because when I popped over, it's like, well, where have all the modules gone? There's only a few of these left, and they'd run out. So they'd done their production run, they'd shipped to stores. There were no more going to be produced, and so at that point, she put it as discontinued. There may still be stuff in the shops because it's when she ships to shops. When she shells on the seashore, that's when she considers it gone. Yeah. So it came up in a thread when they talked about the Element 2 or doing a new Element module, that she said, nah, it's not going to happen. And I mean, she's definitely stepping away. I mean, it was interesting that she had a bit of a crisis about it a couple of years ago with the whole Clouds 2 thing, and then came back really strong with a whole raft of stuff. Some updates, like updates to veils, simple things like, I really like the new veils. Update to the filter, the marbles, of course, came along, a couple of other bits and pieces as well, some marvellous things. And then finally, beads, the Clouds 2. So she put in, we had got a couple of extra years of work out of her, which is brilliant, just superb, great stuff. And as far as I know, it's all open source, so other people could be producing similar modules. So I think the concepts will definitely stay around, which is great. But evidently she needs to do something else, and that's her prerogative, I think. Well, I mean, as we know, it's not necessarily a kind world out there. So, yeah. I mean, it's funny. I was having this conversation the other day as to why there aren't more women YouTubers in synths and stuff like that. And it's simply because they just get abuse all the time. It's just ridiculous. Why on earth would they bother? Because unfortunately, as a gender, as a group or something, men, we are ridiculous and stupid, and we make our own world around us, and that's a shame. And we're all the poorer for it. We lose things because of that. And one thing, I was talking to this woman YouTuber recently, and she was saying that, what I noticed when I was reading through some of the comments on her YouTube channel is just the condescending tone is amazing. It's just extraordinary. I'd never quite. It's not as if the funny thing is that it was full of nice comments. It's just that they were condescending comments. And I don't get that on my channel. I get people saying, "Oh wow, that was a great review," whereas she would get, "You did that really well." Do you see the subtle difference? Is that the thing that I did gets praised, whereas there's kind of this patronism, this condescending comment that comments on, "Oh look, you weren't too bad, were you?" to the woman YouTuber, and that was. All of the comments were like that. And it wasn't like it was an isolated incident. They would say things, "Oh, you used that filter really well. Well done." And you could tell that the person making the comment was trying to be nice. Was deliberately trying to say a nice thing. And it just didn't come off because that's not how you would speak to an equal, So it's just odd. So we get the internet that we deserve is kind of what I'm saying, I suppose. And if Emily wants to go off and do something else, then all power to her. And we get the range of modules that we deserve, I suppose. But there's a lot of great work going on in Eurorack. There always seems to be. There continues to be. Everyone is very industrious. I can't believe quite how it continues to evolve and change, and new stuff comes up, and it's good, more good stuff. How do we keep that going? It's interesting how we haven't seen many releases from people like Make Noise recently. Erica Synths, they keep on churning, they keep on going, but some of the larger brands, trying to think of some others that are usually prolific that haven't been. Qubit is another one actually. They haven't had anything for a couple of years. So interesting. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. That's so yes, very sad about mutable instruments, but I totally understand. Luke Pop was a good teacher. Yes, he certainly is. Did you ever get on with the Korg Volca modular? No, Ken, I never did. It's sat over there. It's it's on my in tray, which has just got a whole load of random paper on it. It's sitting there, staring at me. I took it out of my little Korg Volca rack to put the FM in. And no, I haven't sat down with it. I mean to. I really do mean to, but I haven't. Sadly. It's on my list. It's definitely on my list. All right, just sort of catch up a little bit, so a little bit of a time warp again. Doing reviews on something that's been around quite a while. I think that's completely valid. Because it's one thing doing a review of a brand new piece of gear because you're in that honeymoon period, you know, the throes of passion about it. But you also probably haven't got as deep as you perhaps should do, but you know, nobody has the time realistically. So it's good if you use something to perhaps come back in 6 months or a year's time, 2 years time, and do another video on it if it's something that you use a lot. I think that's worthwhile because you then have a much deeper understanding of it. Perhaps, unless you're just me, I'm just completely shallow and just churn through stuff all the time. Yeah, lack of 16-note polyphony. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Yeah, no, that's a fair point, Ian. You could set out to review only stuff that's no longer current, but then lots of it will be new to them in the same way, so you come up against the same issue. It's only useful if you've been using it all that time. Yeah, I mean, Yoad did destroy FM synthesis, but I don't necessarily agree. I think it can be very, very cheesy. Absolutely, it has all those cheesy sounds. But also, that was not my experience of the Korg Volca at all. The Volca FM, the presets in there were nice, interesting, you know, good sounds. There was no saxophone. So, you know, they can sound terribly dated, but they don't have to, I don't think. Don't have to. Do I have a modular link to the system that's in front of me? Kind of I do. Problem is, I've got this this adapter in here from, oh bloody hell, who is it? Zodes, which converts 1U, which creates a little 1U thing within a 3U case. Modular grid can't cope with that. So it all went a bit wrong. But let me have a quick look and I'll post the link. Modular grid. Let's have a look. I seem to be logged out everywhere today. Oh, look, Stolper Beats has just turned up. That's nice to see. What was the... Let's just see what's the price. No, I don't want to press there. I want to press there. Doesn't have a price. Rats. So, where do I go for my stuff? I can never remember. Racks. My modular. Yeah, it could be. Basic synth voice. Oh, that's cute. No, what am I doing? Come on, think, boy. It is in racks, isn't it? My racks and boards. There we go. My mobile rack brute pair. Let's click on that. So it's got all this mess around it because, as I say, I've had to put in these 1U modules that don't fit into the space. So that is more or less it. At the moment, I don't have the polycinematic and the data bender or beads in there. Those three I've taken out. And I've replaced it with a function junction, a Peridam, which is a distortion I haven't quite got into yet, and the Allen Synthesis Europi Consequentia, which is doing the drums, and the Fasalunaire Vega, which is providing the sound of the drums, other than the kick drum, which is coming from the Erica Synths bass drum, which is glorious. So anyway, I'll post this post this link. So it's mostly true to some degree. And I've currently got the stereo strip over there and mutes rather than the dual envelope from Erica Synths. Oh, it's all just a... So to answer your question, yeah, kind of, but not really. Let me stick that in there anyway. Where was that from? Yeah, Steve G. Emily is a Eurorack superhero, absolutely. You do try to be condescending about my soldering, Ian. Yes, you do. But, you know, I'm just oblivious. I'm oblivious to it. Hang on. Modular instruments are what got you into modular, such great unique designs. Yeah, indeed. So you bought the stereo split and it arrived yesterday. Brilliant. It's boom, it's in the shops, is cool if you want to have a clear and very well thought out vision. If you don't want any suggestions, I often point out very good improvement suggestions. Yes, you can. The Molten Multiple, yeah, maybe. I think it's going to be just slightly more than that. So I'm going backwards and enjoying the comments. Yeah. Any interest in trying an Oxy 1? That rings a bell. I can't think what that is. What's your take on hooking a MIDI keyboard into a patch? Yeah, I mean, not MIDI. I use my KeyStep 37 a lot, which has got CV output. Yeah, I use that a lot. Often use that. Particularly when testing stuff and trying stuff out. But I am... What my plan, you see, is that this particular rig, because I've got lots of other modular about the place, but this particular rig, I'm sort of honing into this being my general live rig. So if somebody says, hey, do you want to play? I can go, yeah. I'll just bring that along and I can bash out 20 minutes of monotonous techno, you know, a drop of a hat. That's the plan. And so I have this in order to enable me to continue to practice. Just going to turn it back on. Well, sorry for the beep. Sorry about that. In order to, so to play it like an instrument is the plan. Okay, so yeah, I got to that. Something about your wife. Afro rack. Yeah. Yeah, preparing for those 4 notes. No, it's not a pint holder. It's all right, Renaissance man. You're doing fine, mate. Hey, Forrestine. Yeah, I guess in the shops is a good thing. But, you know, it's having the knowledge that there's this thing and you desperately want to show it to people and go, look at this. Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking I was going to say. Because I said about, do you have it in the shops or do you wait for commentary so people can influence the design and that kind of thing? And that's an interesting question, because that's what Behringer are doing at the moment. They're making a big fuss about how they're crowdsourcing their products. And that makes me stroke my beard a little bit, because I think it's a lovely idea talking to your customer base. And obviously there's a huge Behringer fan base who are loving that kind of interaction. And I think undoubtedly there's going to be some good that comes out of that, like forcing them to get rid of the old USB and replace it with USB C in the front. You know, that's a good thing on all those modules. Some other bits and pieces and changes are going to happen, but I think it's a difficult or dangerous thing to rely upon, is to rely upon a group of enthusiasts to dictate what should be going into your synthesizer, because I don't know that the crowd always knows best, you know. And my fear from that is you just end up with the lowest common denominator all the time. It ends up kind of just becoming the same, because the loudest voices or the most common voices are going to kind of be talking about the things we've already got. Whereas innovation, potentially, I think, comes from someone having a really good idea and going with it that goes against the grain of other things. So if you're designing by consensus, I think you'll end up with a lot of stuff that's similar, would be my worry about what Behringer are doing, you know. But at the same time, it's also good for rubbing off the corners, or for doing things that, if somebody spots something that doesn't work, and then you can do that better. But like I say, what you really need is just good, experienced designers and thinkers to come up with the ideas. I think that's more interesting, exciting than getting everybody else to tell you what should be in it, if you know what I mean. But from Behringer's point of view, they're making synths for their fans, you know. That's the relationship, and so that makes some kind of sense. I just don't think you're going to find too much innovation there. I mean, if they were to take on some of the great designs that people have put forward, that's a whole other thing, because that's taking like an individual's idea and going with that. But this kind of consensus idea, I don't know. I'm not convinced that that's a cool way forward. Jeff, you just bought marbles. Well done. I haven't. I mean, from my experience of mutable instrument modules is that I only really have a Veils. I've got 2 Veils, funnily enough. I do have a beads that, of course, I don't get on with. And what else do I have that's mutable? No, I think that's it. So, it's not as if I have a lot of that stuff in my... Oh, no, something's gone wrong. Oh, no, something's gone wrong. What's gone wrong? My camera's gone wrong? I've frozen. What's gone on? How could I have frozen? Stand by your beds. What's gone on? What's gone on? Buffered out, frozen. Have I frozen? So what's wrong with this? Hang on. Hang on. Let's put this on. Is that moving? Is that still working? You are frozen. Yeah. Okay, no, that's working. So what's happened here? My camera's crashed. That's bizarre. Flipping has as well. It won't even turn off. Cool, geez. Hang on. Stand by your beds. That's interesting. Never had that happen before. I'm sure I was saying something fascinating and interesting. I have no idea whether you can currently hear me. Oh. Hang on. Probably means we should go to bed. Sorry, where's the chat? Camera overhead. You can hear me. And I'm back. Okay. Whew. So yeah, my camera seemed to crash. Weird. Never had that happen before. Who knows? First time for everything. Yes, thank you. So yeah, I'm sure I was talking some kind of nonsense. Yeah, the whole beads into rings into marbles thing is something that the rings into clouds. I mean, I have never done that. I don't really actually know what that means. But yes, I've witnessed plenty of ambient music that involves a sort of a resonated string into a pluck string into something like clouds. I was just never able to get on with it. I couldn't seem to do it. I don't know why that is. I don't know why that is. Anyway, sorry, I'm just going to skip back up again a little bit. It looks like there's a conversation. Why do I hate Electron? Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you forgive me, I think there's perhaps a lack of nuance in people's grasp of sexism in the electronics music industry and such like. But that's okay. We can't all be awesome and and switched on or whatever. That's fine. Everyone's welcome to their own view. But it's. I mean, I used to worry about. I used to worry about why aren't there more women making YouTube videos, and it's simply that. Honestly, it's simply that it's not worth the hassle for them. There's better things for them to be doing. I seem to know lots of women who are producing music, making music, performing music, you know, actually doing the work rather than making videos about doing the work, because they can get on and do it because they can. You know, they're not having to deal with crap all the time. I mean, they have to deal with crap anyway, but they don't have to deal with additional online commentary and crap of that nature, you know. So anyway, we just go around in circles. Honestly, really? Men and women have inherently different natures? Okie dokie then. I used to own a DX7. I used to have a DX100. In fact, I looked up some of my old tracks that I made when I was 14, 15 that were all on the DX100. I'll put one up one of these days. I'll put that up. Why do I hate Electron? Let's get back to that. Okay, it's 10 o'clock. We're going to try to wind this up shortly, I think. I have nothing against Electron. I think Electron are awesome. It's just a box that doesn't thrill. There's nothing about it that interests or thrills me. There's nothing about the look of it. Nothing about the sounds within it necessarily. I mean, this is from me. I have never tried one. But having listened to lots of demos, it's just not my thing, you know. I get far more out of producing a bass line, a couple of twangy notes and a drum line out of this. It's total bliss. Comparing that to doing a similar thing on an Electron Syntac or Digitac, it does not appeal. I don't. It does not appeal. I can understand that people make music on it. Yeah, I mean, I used to bang out on MPCs back at Turnkey back in the day, have fun with that, but the smallness, the interface, the menu system, having to do multiple tracks in all that way, having to navigate your way through all that stuff, you know, it doesn't it just does not appeal. I mean, I'd probably want to plug a keyboard into it immediately just to try to make a bit more sense of it or something. I don't know. I mean, I'd rather use a DAW. I'd rather use a computer, I think. And that's probably saying something. But no, I don't hate Electron at all. They do awesome stuff. It just doesn't seem to resonate with me. But maybe if I had one and tried one out, maybe it would. I'm not sure. Oh dear. Did I start a bit of a debate? Okay, there's my frozen bit. Okay, go on, skip through that. Video, nice sound. Bees into rings. Wires are wiggling. Yes. See, that was useful. That's why I spent hours animating that bloody thing. The render just was horrendous for some reason. It was a couple of effects I found in Resolve to try to make the background a bit more animated. Just took an age, and the computer kept wigging out at points. But anyway. It's really useful because I like the idea I can put it up at the front of something and people know the video's working. And I know the video's working without me having to have my face on there going, is the video working? Do you know what I mean? So that's why it's brilliant. Even though it says Molten Modular, not Molten Music Technology, but, you know, I don't care which one you know me as. Although it's probably going to become important as I redevelop the website. Anyway, get through that. You can hear me. Good, good. Don't say anything your mum wouldn't. Right. Okay. Yeah, me clattering around in the shed. Video's back. Good. Right. You alone on Twitch. Oh, Jay, nothing. It's so nice that you're on there. I don't really know why I bother. I've been under this illusion that maybe there's people on Twitch that would find this kind of thing fascinating. But there doesn't seem to be. But you're there and you're lovely. So thank you for that. Similarly on Twitter, Facebook. Is there any point to it? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've got like 2,500 friends on Facebook. Do any of them actually watch? I don't know who any of these people are. NTS1 is amazing for the money. Yes, it is. Yeah, Forestine, that's a shame. It's just a shame. I think we lose out, and that's a shame. Renaissance Man, I used to be an air traffic controller, and back then, this was a while ago, and our class was, I think, 30-40% female. You know, it was a large chunk. It was very little disparity in terms of air traffic control. Certainly wasn't. It used to be very much a military old boys club, but it wasn't, and that was in the 90s. You know, so you know, it doesn't have to be that way. You still got a DX100? Have you really? Crikey. Yeah, needless mustard. I agree. Sexism and harassment, they are real things. It doesn't matter how how we try to talk them down or talk them away or say it's nothing to do with me or I'm blind to gender. You know, none of those things matter. What matters is that, sadly, women who try to do something serious online get harassed for it. And it's ridiculous. It's sickening and just, you know, I try not to dwell on it myself because it makes me so flipping angry. Don't understand what's the matter with people, you know. Good gracious. Anyway, we don't want to just end up spiraling out into that kind of thing. Just at the minute, I think just to be aware that it happens and it is a big deal and it is a thing that goes on, and we are preventing the diversity of our own experience of life, you know, through the way things that we say and the way we comment and the way we are towards people. You know, I mean, we can be, one is allowed to be stupid and one is allowed to be pathetic, but don't harass people, don't patronize people, you know. Anyway, and also don't say you can't possibly understand. I don't think there's a way to understand, you know. So we have to be listening more than making grand statements about what is or is not a society construct or blah, 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 blah. I just wish it was better. You're on your 4th DX100. Yeah. Anyway, I'm trying to work this to a close slowly. Ooh. Oh, I'm hoping to hook up with Ranzi soon. We've talked about he's talked about me having me on his show. At least I think he has. If he hasn't, well, he probably should. So yeah, we should do that soon. That would be great. I don't know why I'm going bum either way. Anyway, getting to the bottom. Really, you found the bloom exciting. I can't get my head round it. I can't. It's like, what is going on with this thing? I mean, I saw a video on it that they did, I think relatively recently, when I started, just little things started unlocking. I thought, oh right, I might have to give it another look. It's is it over there? Yeah, it's over there, wired into something that's upside down on the floor. I need to give it another look because it's a tricky one. But it can't be as tricky as I think it is. There has to be a way in. There has to be a way in. Okay. Yeah, no, Andrew, honestly, we've talked about it. So yeah, we'll hope to do that. Hope to do that soon. Probably not this side of Super Booth, as I say. Okay, cool. So thank you ever so much for sticking around. That's been good. That was a couple of hours of chat about all sorts of bits and pieces. We had some excitement with the freezing thing. Had a little bit of aggro because I brought up the W word. And we talked about stuff. We talked about Dungeons and Dragons, Twilight Imperium, tabletop games. We did a little bit of craziness with my arm thing coming out. So I think it's been a very fruitful, interesting evening. My favourite signature is still the 8-step sitting here from Wavephonics. I think that's a tidy thing. One of my projects for the year is to try to do a chord change. The idea of there has to be a way. I have to be able to do a verse and chorus. I have to be able to do it. It's got to be a way. So I'm going to look into that. I might have to find out if I can actually use the magneto for something or whether I just need to fill that space with delays that I understand. That could be something. But I have no eyes on any particular modules at the moment. I do. Oh, I recently got something in from what's his face from Thingamajig. No, I think Divkid did a video on this, so I'll have to go and watch that. Obviously, DPW, some switch thing, and something called a zero. That I need to go and look about what they are. But your man said from DPW said, would I like to have a look? And I said, yes, certainly. I'll try to fit that in. So switches and latches, very interesting, potentially about swapping sequences or adding voltage to a sequencer in order to transpose, that kind of thing. So that could be very interesting. So yeah, hope to do a video on that soon. But otherwise, yes, so don't forget on Wednesday night I'll be doing the sequencer. Oh, yeah, that's cool, from Erica Synths. Now that'll be interesting. I need to get that other envelope finished as well while I'm thinking about it. Yeah, when am I going to fit that in? I don't know. It's bank holiday Monday. Seems unlikely. So Wednesday night, join us for that if you're into that kind of thing. I think they should have them at Thonk by now. Let me just check, actually. Because I put it off a week because it didn't seem to be turning up. Sequencer kit. Yes, it's in stock now at Thonk. The Erica Synths EDU DIY sequencer is in stock at Thonk. I'm sure if you plead with them, they'll be able to get it to you for Wednesday with a bit of luck. So Wednesday night we'll do the breadboarding. Thursday night we'll do the build. That's the plan on that. That should be good. Oh no, what's going on now? Why was that? Was it because we talked about women for a moment? Crikey, blimey. Really? Honestly? You can't do anything, can you? See, that's what we've got to put up with. That's what we get, what we deserve, as I say. So there we go. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so that's Wednesday, Thursday this week. Then yeah, I'm going to go to Super Booth for the Saturday. It's going to be a crazy long weekend, I imagine. But I mean, if anybody's around in Berlin on the Sunday morning, I'm going to be sort of, my flight's not till 2, I don't think. So I'm going to wander around the centre of Berlin looking at interesting things. If anybody wants to buy me breakfast, that would be cool. But if you're around on Saturday at Super Booth, then by all means say hello. That would be great. I don't mind. I've probably got a lot to do and a lot to see, a lot to fit in that time. So, you know, don't be put out if I go, great to meet you, right, I'm off. Because, you know, I've got things to do. But come and say hello, please do. That would be great. I'm always happy to say hello about things. And hopefully it will be fascinating. So it's been a couple of years now. And of course there's Synthfest in October, so that'll be good too. I have no idea whether I'm doing anything there as yet. I'll wait and see. But it's good to see that happening. So cheers Renaissance Man for your contributions and questions today. That's been great. Yeah, Gaz is only there for a day, but he's there on the Thursday or something beforehand, which is a shame. So I will not see him. We will miss. I will miss. So yeah, so there we go. Good, right, great. So yes, thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. Thanks for the chat. Always appreciated your support when you come along and talk to me. That's lovely. Hope to see some of you on Wednesday for a bit of DIY action. Otherwise, you know, just be nice to each other, nice to other people, and make some tunes. Go make some tunes. Go do that. Shall I do a thing on there just for 5 minutes? Although I pulled a thing out, so I don't know what's working. But I'll just turn it on and see where we get to. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome. I'll go with that.